This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, this is the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be going to a city that has a lot of history in the medieval era. We're going to be floating down the river trying to bring ourselves to the end under the bridges. We're going to be going to the church, going to do the coats of arms. Today we're talking about Ulm. This is a 2 to 4 player Euro-style game. It takes about an hour to play, and it's brought to us in North America by R&R Games. Let me show you how it's played, and I'll see you on the other side. Ulm is a beautiful board, and over the course of the game you're going to be scoring points by going down the river with your boats, by activating special abilities, and by doing set collections with cards. Now the game is 10 rounds long, and for each of those 10 rounds there's a piece of roof here. This is the start player. Each time it comes around to them, they'll take this and they'll start to build the roof of the church. And the church is this cool 3 construction that you'll be placing the roofs on one per round, and so they just lay there and the roofs start to pile up, and it's just kind of like the round tracker. It's an elaborate one, but a cool one at that. Now the whole game revolves around this action spot here. What you're going to do is there's a bag full of tokens, and on your turn you're simply going to take a tile out of that bag and you're going to place it by pushing one row or column of pieces down or around. So in this case, let's say I want to take this. I will push this down, so all these actions push down, which means this one actually pushes out to the outside area. And because I pressed here, I have these 3 actions to do. These 2 are the same, and this is this. So there's different actions you can take. Let's just go over them. So in this case, for each of these, since there's 2 of them in this row, I would get to take both of those actions, or that action, twice. In that case, it's just taking 1 coin each. So in this case, I'd get 2 coins because there's 2 of them here. I'd also get to take this action, which allows me to move my boat. And if this was me, I would move it down to here. Now, next time somebody moves a boat, they're going to jump because you can't be in the same spot. And then if green went, they would go like that with 1 boat action. And as you can see, there's different points that you'll get at the end of the game depending on how far you are down. These are all minuses. As you go towards the right, they'll become plus eventually. And that's it. The turn's over. They're really fast turns. And let's say the next player pushes this tile in through this way. So now that's out, and we have that. Now, here's some of these actions. This lets you take any one set all the way out here of these tiles and place them in front of you. So if there were 2 tiles, there were 3, I would take all 3 of these. But in this case, there's just 1. So I would take this and place it in front of me because I used this action. But I have a second one of those, so I can actually collect another set that's out somewhere. It just happens to be that one right there, and that's there. Then this is a card action, and we can do a couple of things with this. Well, it allows me to take a card, but only if I spend 2 tiles that I have in front of me. Now, everyone starts with a couple of tiles in front of them, but this is the ones that I just got off the board. Now, if I throw 2 of the same tiles in, that's better. If I threw 2 different ones, essentially I would be able to take the top card and that's it. If I throw 2 of the same, I can take the top 2 cards, look at them both, select one, and then discard the one I don't want, so you get better options of cards. We're going to go over what the cards do here in a minute, but they're a big part of the game. Now about these cards, they're double use. You could either, on your turn, you can always play 1 card no matter what. So if I have this card, I could play it and throw away one of those 2 tiles back in the bag and immediately get 6 points, but this card goes away. It's an immediate use, one-time use. Or I can place it in front of me. I mean, you can play 1 card per turn for free. And if it has this logo on the top, which this one does, it's part of the church, I would just get 3 points at the end of the game. However, if I'm able to complete the church by building all 3 cards of it, then at the end of the game, I will get 18 points. The other types of cards that you're set collecting are the goods. So you look at this and they have the different icons. And again, you could use them for an ability and get rid of the card right away, moving your boat down and doing different things like that. Or like for this one, if I have 1 of these cards, it's going to be worth 3 points at the end of the game. If I have 3 of the same card here, I'd get 15 points. But if I have 1 of each of the 3 different type of good cards, then I'll get 12 points. So different ways of doing set collection with the cards for endgame points, and that's one of the major viable strategies in the game. Now that card action, I told you put tiles back in the bag and you're going to get a card, but if you don't want to do that, you can just play a second card. You can always play 1 card for free, as I mentioned, but for a card action, you can also play a second card on your turn. Now the last action I haven't talked about is this seal action. Let's say someone pushed this way, they'd get a coin, they'd move up on the boat, and they'd get to do a seal action. So let's say the red player took a seal action. They could pay 2 coins, and then they get to put their seal somewhere. Now they're here in the boat. Now look at this little border here and here. What this means is anyone in these spaces can either put a seal to the north or the south. If you put it to the south, you'd get to take a resource, and you'd get to take a coin, and you can move your boat 0 to 2. If I wanted to do that, I would put my seal there. You can go to the same place multiple times, it doesn't matter, but once these are all full, no one can go there. Anyway, when you get some of these sort of wild looking resources in the game, these get taken from what's called the dock. At the beginning of the game is one of each of the actions, but as people are taking dock actions, they will get replaced randomly by the bag. So these will change over the course of the game. However, if I went here, you'd get a coat of arms. So you get to look at 2 of them and keep 1. So at the top here, there's a big coat of arms here. I'm going to take 2 of them and we'll take a look. Now there's 2 types of coat of arms. There's silver and there's gold. I would choose one of these, keep it, put the other one face down the bottom of the pile. If I take the silver, I get 4 points right away, and that's pretty much it for this. If I get the gold one, I'll get 2 points now. But I get to place my coat of arms shield in this district location, and later on when other people visit it, I'll get 2 points, and it could even be myself. So as you can see, it matches this one on the board. So what I would do is I would place my own coat of arms here. When anybody else visits this spot, I'm gonna get those 2 points. Now, when you decide on your coat of arms, you're also gonna find the smaller version of that around the board. You're gonna place this here. Now, what this does is when somebody else, anybody, other players or you, actually take an action that pushes these out like this, you are going to get what's called a sparrow token. And these are good for 1 point at the end of the game, or you can turn them in to basically get more options. For example, if you remember at the beginning of your turn, you're drawing randomly out of the bag, and that's gonna be one of the actions you select. Let's say I don't want this, I want the boat. I can turn in one of these sparrow tokens to swap with this, and now this is one of the 3 actions I'll be taking this turn because I'll be placing this into that board. And also, as different tiles get pushed out here, no one else can go here unless this is removed. So as pieces are getting pushed and on the side, it's giving less and less opportunities for people to take actions. Now, if it was that green player that did the seal, they are on here or here. So depending on where you're at, you might have different spots to choose from. If you go here, it's really cool because you have some different special abilities to choose from. And there's 4 of them out, but there's 8 in the game. So randomly, 4 of them are here during the game, and so it makes the game different every time. Like every time you take a boat, you go more than 1. Every time you take a coin, you go more than 1. Anytime you get 3 of light tiles in a straight line, you'll get 2 points. This gives you some more flexibility when drawing different tiles. You can use one of the ones in front of you instead of the one you grabbed. So all different types of special abilities. And as you get to the end of the game, there's ones where, hey, you'll get a point for every one of the seals on the board that you've placed. Here you get to go through the discard pile to try to get the card at the last moment, but it's really hard to get down that side of the board with the boats. Now this continues until the 10th round's over, and then everybody would score any cards that they have placed for their end game bonus, as I showed you before, and you'd get positive or negative points depending if you've made it past the bridge or not here. And then you get a point for each of the sparrow. Whoever has the most is the winner. Now, Alm is one of those games I was interested in because I do like Euro games, and I do like to find games that aren't too long but pack a lot in there. And this definitely is one of those. The things I liked about it, overall I liked the game, so I'm going to start with those, and I'll go into some of the things that you might want to make sure you know of before you go ahead and get the game. So the game itself, the board is absolutely gorgeous, and I love any game that's sort of built on history. There's a whole rule book. There's 2 rule books. There's a regular one, then there's one that kind of the chronicle that goes through all the detailed rules of all the special tiles and all the actions and the cards and stuff, but it also has some history of that, and I thought that was really cool to put that in there. I love reading about that. Now, the thing I really like about this game is it's super streamlined. I mean, your turns are very quick, and it's only 10 rounds long, but literally you're pulling a tile out of the bag, and you're placing it in some spot, and you're taking those 3 actions, and most of them pretty quickly. Like, I'm gonna move 1, I'm gonna take a coin, and I'm gonna take these tiles. A lot of the actions are very quick, but thinking about what you wanna do, why you wanna do it, when you wanna do it, woof, there's a lot of thinking. As simple as the mechanisms are in this game, I like that because that part of it's simple. The rules aren't heavy. But once you start getting into the details of the tiles and the cards and this and that, you see there's some depth there, and then deciding on what you're gonna do. And I like how the game has a lot of replayability because you're only using 4 of the 8 different tiles of the special abilities each time. You're gonna be using you can actually change. I didn't show this in the overview, but there's an advanced variant where you can flip over the round markers, and each round there's a random event that happens, like, hey, you got to pay 2 coins or lose 5 points this round. So there's different things there. But the replayability is great because the board's always going to be different with when you're picking things, and people are going to be changing the board as they take their actions, and you're going to have the different coat of arms that come up and things like that. So I like that the game has a lot of replayability. I like that there seems to be different paths to go down. You can go down and just really try to get those card sets and try to get the different 3 churches and the different goods and such. But you're going to be spending a lot of time doing card actions, trying to take a lot of tiles, trying to take the same tiles so you can get better cards. Or you might want to be spending your time going down the river and getting all those points, 10, 12, or even more at the end by the end of the game. You might want to try to enable some of those special abilities, like getting 2 points every time you move the tiles in a certain way. So there's a lot of things to think about, and I liked that overall of the game. The game felt pretty tight, actually probably a little bit more tight than I tend to prefer. I liked it, I enjoyed it, but sometimes I felt like I wanted to do more than I could. Like I wanted to do all these things, there was all these different exciting places and things to explore, but I felt like once I set down a path, I feel like I had to stay on that path because the game was relatively short. And I wanted to do more than I really could, but that's a good thing. I'd rather a game sort of end before I'm ready for it to end than go too long. So overall, I really like the game. I like the different paths to victory. I like how the game's going to change. And overall, if you're looking for that sort of 45 to 60 minute Euro that is simple mechanically, but really packs a punch with how much to think, this is definitely going to be one you want to check out. I mean, with 2 players, you can easily play this thing in 45 minutes once you know what you're doing. And to pack this much of a game in 45 minutes, it felt like you played a longer game after it's over, even though it flew by. I mean, I looked at my watch, I was like, whoa, that took an hour. It felt like 30 minutes. It really goes at a quick pace. Now, some of the things to think about of the negatives, the possible negatives in this game is, number one, you can't, if you follow the rules of the game, you draw the tile on your turn, and the board has changed so much since your last turn because other people are doing actions and stuff, and the board looks different with those different actions that you really have to stop and think, then what am I going to do? Because you got a new action that you didn't know you had, and then you got to place things have been changed. If you play with people that have analysis paralysis or AP, this might not be the game for you because there is a decent amount of that can go on in this game. However, you could house rule it like we did, and hey, you know what? After you're done taking a turn, pull one out of the bag, pass the bag. That way, you're like a Carcassonne, like a house rule. You can look at the tile and you can keep it secret, but at least you know which action you're going to have in addition to the two. And you can start staring at the board. Sure, the board can change by the time it's your turn, but at least you'll have some ideas of where to go. It will speed the game up. So AP can be something that drags this game down a bit, but that's the way that you can combat it, I think. But other than that, it's really a good game. For me, I liked it. I can recommend it for sure. For my taste, it was a little too tight. It really felt tight and constricting that I wanted to be able to go off and do more things more freely, but you really had to stick to your strategy because the game was so short, you don't get that many actions. But overall, it's a really good game, and I would recommend if you like something like this, that 60-minute Euro, and that is Ulm.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for backing me on Kickstarter and making this season become a reality. I'd like to especially thank those here that have backed me at the credit level. Now, these video reviews are also available by audio on our podcast. It's the intros and the final thoughts on GameBoyGeek.com. Click podcast.